Welcome back to What the Podcast. I'm Ryan.
I'm John.
And together we are
Ryan and John.
on the couch, as always, producer Cara Tafolla, and introducing the lovely Annie Skovmand.
Yeah.
Dang.
Wow.
We want to take a minute to honor the passing of iconic voice acting, comedic legend Gilbert Gottfried.
Wow.
You want to hear my impression of him?
Please.
Oh no.
Yeah.
On the day of his death, go ahead.
Okay. You think it's
No pressure.
body's still warm? Here we go.
Oh,
I feel like I'm going to butcher it.
you are.
Well, that's kind of the point of the
Welcome back to What the Podcast.
That's good.
I'm Ryan. Gilbert Gottfried. That's a little not as nasally.
No, it was good. It was good.
It was okay. Gilbert, that one's for you, bud.
Pretty surprising. I just saw it on Twitter and it was very surprising. I haven't heard his name in a long time.
Heart, kind of heart issue.
I tried to read it today. It was a very long
valve dystrophy or something like that. His heart stopped working, unfortunately.
Oh.
Pretty sad.
I just read that it was a long-term illness. He
Yep.
had been dealing with it for a while. So that sucks.
Wow.
Though.
Well, cool. So that's it. Show over.
We'll see you next time.
Pretty sad stuff.
we have a sponsor.
I guess we do.
I know. I
Relief.
realized.
This week,
Pure leaf.
everyone, to the cams.
Spicy
John?
tea.
John?
Oh, sorry.
No.
Why is it
British
spicy?
water. Leaf water.
Fresh water.
Straight from the Great Isle of Britain.
Dump
Why are
it
we
in.
all
Leaf
holding
water.
it
Dump it in
up
the
to
sink.
camera? It's only on you.
Pure leaf.
Yeah.
Spicy water.
Spicy
No.
water.
Whatever.
Spicy.
Whatever. It doesn't
tea.
matter. Cheers
Unsweetened tea.
to a good podcast.
Maybe.
77 milligrams of caffeine.
Yeah.
Freaking zinging.
Wow.
The countdown's on to
Dang.
the wedding of the year.
Oh, yeah.
I keep forgetting about it.
The star-crossed lovers, John and Jordan,
Wedding
to be
of the
It's
wed
coming fast.
May
I will
1st.
say in the last 2 weeks, it feels like it all just kind of hit me because it felt far away until I got into April and I was like, oh,
Yeah.
shite.
April 1st, I was like, ooh, it's 1 month from today. That's interesting.
And now it's 2 weeks, right?
Yeah, it's pretty
Something like that.
When this comes out, it'll
2
be
weeks
2
and
weeks,
it'll
probably.
change.
Yeah,
The rehearsal's the 30th.
29th, but
The 29th.
Thoughts?
don't worry about it.
Comments,
that, knew that.
concerns? What's
I'm really
going
ex-
through your mind right now? Walk us through it.
I'm really, really excited. I think we're at a point where everything's kind of just done. Like we booked and and paid for a lot of things. So I'm at a point where I feel good. Jordan,
Nothing more to plan.
There's all
More
the
or less.
details are kind of working itself out. I will say and this is no surprise to you guys. Jordan has done a majority of it, and she's
Yep.
very good at all that. Mostly because she has a very specific vision, and I want her to have the day of her dreams. Because for me, I don't necessarily notice or care about the little things.
Sure.
I'm a big vision. I just enjoy the moment. So I'm whatever she wants, she should get. And for the most part, it's been going great.
That is great.
I'm very excited.
Excited for you guys. Excited to be there on the day of the big moment.
I know you'll be there. You'll be standing there.
To
next
take
to
in
me.
every detail just for Jordan.
Ryan and I are both in the bridal party.
That we
Yeah,
are.
that's true.
And I know that we haven't had the final lineup decided.
Yeah. And
I've been really,
Have you been nervous about it?
No, I've been trying really hard
rise in the ranks?
to make. No, I don't even. I want Ryan and I to be the very last ones.
You know we are.
Well,
Last in, first out, right?
And Jordan
I mean-
keeps on saying no, and I go, well, I want to. I
Who's
want
on
to
the
walk.
lineup?
I go, I want to walk with
sister,
Ryan, and she's like,
all of her
why
best
do you?
childhood friends, and then you, right?
That's what I'm
that's
saying.
what it is.
That's what I'm saying.
Your
I said
heights work.
it's literally all family and Annie.
Yeah,
so I
it's
said
right. Her sisters and her cousins and you,
I go, you
so.
put me and Ryan at the end, and she goes, why? Why would you want to be at the end? What are you
Because then we
talking
walk
about?
down the aisle first.
We'd walk down
The
the
first
aisle
impression.
first, and
We
then I
set the
said,
tone.
I
You know what I'm
said,
saying?
all I want is if
Or
anyone.
no, what's the song in The Office?
Oh, dance. Oh, wait. What's the song?
Yeah. So all I want.
Go ahead.
Classic
Go ahead,
wedding
Annie.
song.
Annie. No, Annie's got another thing
Hey,
going here.
hey,
so
hey,
go ahead.
John.
1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, sorry.
Yeah,
go
yeah,
ahead.
that one. That one.
Waited my whole life for this one night. Oh,
Go ahead, Annie. You
Annie,
got a thing. You
Annie,
got a
it's
great
all
bit
you. It's all you
in
now.
the chamber. Fire
All you.
away.
Go.
All I was saying is I've tried to explain this to Jordan. I don't really even care about walking down the aisle. It's walking into the reception when you have to have your partner to make like
Yeah,
that
you gotta have a
like
good
2-second
partner.
bit.
Yep.
I go, Ryan and I could kill that.
Kill it.
Yeah.
We could kill
Big
that
entrance.
reception
I've had some
entrance.
pretty
Big entrance.
bad partners in the weddings that I've been in.
That's
so.
what I'm saying. I was like, and she goes,
I won't name
I don't
any
know.
specific
Wow,
names.
wow.
I don't know.
I've been
The
in a lot of
weddings you've
weddings.
been
By
in.
the way, I've been in a lot of weddings.
John
It
has been in a lot of
nothing to
weddings.
do with your wedding. I wasn't even
Clearly
thinking
not.
about your wedding. Did you guys get married?
Always
I don't
the
even
groomsman
know.
and never
you
the
weren't
groom.
thinking about my wedding?
I wasn't thinking
That's
about it.
sad.
I rarely
That's
do.
sad.
Do you guys ever? I feel like that's a stigma for girls. It's like,
Go ahead.
always the bridesmaid, never the bride. Do you guys ever feel like, well, no.
No.
You're married.
Annie, we should
John's
be
getting
asking
married.
you that question, right?
Well,
Annie, do you
I-
feel like that sometimes?
no. I actually like if I make it. My goal is to surpass the 27 dresses.
Oh,
I want
I
to have
love
28.
that.
How many do you have now?
I
You
have
want to do 28
4.
dresses?
4, really? I
Yeah.
think you had more.
I have.
Wow, that's rough.
I will have 3.
But
That's it.
I was involved in. That's the thing about being in wedding coordinating. I've been involved in a lot of friends' weddings, so it's almost
Got
like you're
it.
in it,
But
Like
but you get paid.
4 dresses and 20 pantsuits, right? I mean, like
pantsuits. That's
I coordinated your wedding,
Yeah.
and I
Yeah.
did not wear a pantsuit.
well,
Where
whatever.
did that come from?
So did you? Well,
Maybe you
I just
should. Hold
like
on.
boss woman, you know, like that's just what I
Boss woman.
envision
Uh-huh.
you in.
Yeah, I know.
yeah. When Arches has their big like launch first
Launch
wedding,
party?
I will.
you're wearing a pantsuit.
I'm wearing a
is the point.
pantsuit.
Is there going to be a launch party?
Yes,
Oh my
yes,
gosh.
there is. It's already in the works.
Cool.
Was the point of that movie that she like had 27 friends and they were all getting married?
No.
It was
Yeah.
like
And her
Really
lifetime, she
popular.
was in a lot of weddings.
No,
The whole-
I never saw
the
that
point,
movie.
The point
you tell
is,
him, Cara.
Give it to me.
The point is that she's been so loyal to all of her friends, blah blah
Yeah.
blah, that she's never had time for love, blah blah blah. And then
Right.
she finds love, and then it's blah blah blah.
Right, but
There you go.
So she has 20. She's
Very-
been
She's
in
been in
27
27
weddings.
weddings.
Do you even have 27 friends that you would be in their wedding?
Yeah.
No.
Okay.
Yeah.
No,
Name
No.
them.
Yeah.
sure don't.
Name them.
I right now, if I were to like list bridesmaids, I have 10, and those are like
Jeez.
cutting
Okay.
people off.
So that's 14. So where
And
are you
2
going
of
to get
them
the
are
other
Ryan
14?
and I, right? We're the brides men,
Men.
right? So men. So
Bridesmen.
Oh,
the 2 of us.
12. I'm 12.
I have 12.
Oh.
No, I'm joking.
I did think though. Okay, like ideal world, my bachelorette party.
Yep.
I'm inviting you guys.
Wow.
Like
hell yeah.
And I hate to break the suit, invited or not. Ryan,
no,
and I
we'll
are-
be there.
We're gonna
I,
be there.
you know,
We'll be
I
podcasting
honestly
at
thought
it.
about showing up at yours.
Yeah, you should have.
I was like, I kind of thought about it. I was like, that would
I
be
know
sick.
they
Major
were so
key.
close.
They're so close,
And
it-
everyone would have freaked
We
out
would
if
have
you showed up.
received you
okay,
quite
but
well.
hearing about what happened, I'm glad that
no, I
didn't
wish
go.
I had seen
glad I
it.
didn't.
I don't know.
I can't comment on any of it.
yeah, everyone signed
will not.
NDAs.
NDAs.
So
Yeah, major
NDAs.
NDA happening.
there's one loose cannon that I'm afraid is going to make a TikTok about it. It's kind of keeping me up at
you
night.
send me the drafts. It's fine.
Yeah. I know. Terrifying.
It's fine for our bachelorette. We were like, oh, every year we should just go. And
Yeah.
whoever was to come.
Jeez, I know.
And we're gonna do exactly all the stuff that we did that fateful weekend.
Uh-huh.
I-
Ryan, to his credit, would not go down. The guy
No.
was
Yeah.
unstoppable.
Of course not. Of
Not
course
not
not.
the same for me, unfortunately. But Ryan was unstoppable on his.
Went down like a
Yeah, on the first night.
Like
So
good.
that's fine.
something
I
that
did.
goes down.
I was looking at flights. So Southwest every once in a while will pop up and they're like, "Hey, cheap flights, super
Deal.
cheap flights. Look at where your airport is.
like a
super
flight
cheap
dealer
flights."
almost.
Yes, flight
Yeah.
dealer. You want to buy a
Opens his-
flight?
It's like,
coat.
you want to buy a flight?
Hey,
super cheap,
flight
super
here,
cheap flights.
Super cheap flight here.
And there were some that like were starting legitimately at like
Yeah.
$50.
Yeah. Oh
And
yeah.
I was like,
Every once in a while,
okay.
they'll hit you with a $30 one way to Vegas.
Yep.
And I'm
You're
like,
like, how can I resist?
And
They
then you can't
said-
come back. You gotta pay
yeah,
$200
well, you
got to
get
back.
the $30 to come back.
Yeah, you
it's
wait-
$60 round trip. Come on,
Right?
Go to
And
Vegas.
I was like, man, what a good What the Podcast episode.
Dude, if we did one from Vegas.
We go to Vegas.
Okay, we have to cut this out of the episode.
Stop.
Cut it out. Cut it out. Cut it out.
Cut it out. We will make it to Vegas at some point. I'm
That's
sure.
fine.
The best part is like, what if like we can't make it to Vegas, but we're like, hey, Reno,
Flights to
Oh god.
flights to Reno.
Topeka, Kansas.
I kind of
are
think it'd be more fun.
$40 right
I kind
now.
of think it'd be more fun to drive the 4 of us
To Vegas?
Yeah, it'd be fun. You know,
Drive through. What do you call it?
5-hour drive.
Bryce Canyon.
It's not bad.
How far is it to Vegas? Is that really?
It's 5.
it's
This
fine.
is-
It's
This
5 when
is-
you're going like 90.
Uh-huh.
It's 5.5 if you're going like 80.
Okay, good to know.
My family went every summer since I was
They
like
truly did.
7.
This is true.
Vegas?
To Vegas.
Interesting.
Right.
And your
If
family
we
goes
left
to
right
Hawaii
now-
every year.
If we left right now, we could make it in 4 hours and 50 minutes.
You think I
I
could be back in
mean-
time though?
Yeah.
Oh,
No, Andy's
yeah.
got a hard out,
Yeah.
guys. So
And he's
just
got a
not
hard
gonna
out
happen.
at 6:55.
it's not going to happen. Well,
Next week.
let's dive right back in. Let's
Yeah, back to podcasting.
let's do a
Hey.
little palate cleanser before we
Yeah.
jump into the rest of our topics here for the evening.
All right.
We already asked that
Poddex.
question. We already asked that one. Okay.
You have to put it on the ceiling. What are you-
Ladies and gentlemen, poddex.com. Head on over there. Get 10% off your first order of podcast questions with the code WTP.
Does it work?
Oh, well, try it. Maybe it does.
Maybe it doesn't. If
Maybe it
not,
doesn't.
you should still get a pod deck. Bum, bum, bum. Bum, bum, bum.
Would
Wow.
you
Oh.
rather never be able to use search engines again or
That's tough.
never use your smartphone apps again?
Interesting.
So,
Isn't there a loophole in there?
no, we'll call it social media. We'll say
I know what Cara's choosing.
Wait, isn't there a loophole in there?
no
There's no-
loopholes.
you can't.
Either-
Yeah,
we don't want to
either-
create a
Can
loophole.
there be a search engine?
Well, there
in the
can
app?
be,
No.
but you don't.
No.
We're not making it
So
a loophole.
the-
No, that's why I'm saying social media.
Okay.
Oh.
Is you can never use Google ever again, or you can never use Instagram, Snapchat, Facebook, TikTok,
That's a tough one.
any of the apps ever again.
I have my answer.
Go ahead.
I'm too reliant on Google. I Google
Same.
every day.
Same.
If you read my search history,
It's like
it
how to
would be
hide a
like
body.
it's just like the most random questions.
Yeah.
It's like
Yeah.
how many tablespoons in a cup, or like
And
things
like,
like
who
that.
even-
And
I'm
then
not
it's
even
like,
baking.
and then it's like, what kind of alcohol's in a Truly? And then it goes to like just like how old is Sandra Bullock?
Malt liquor.
I rely so heavily on Google to just get me the answer. You know, like I would cut out all the social medias.
That feels like the easy answer, and I almost would agree with you, but I feel like I get so much news from like Twitter and Reddit. And
But how are you going to see if Betty White is truly dead?
How are you going to keep in touch with all your people? You know? Like,
Yeah.
I don't keep in touch with them now.
That's fair.
They text me, I don't answer.
Yeah. They kind of already does that. I'm
That's
not
true.
gonna lie.
That's true.
She's
Dang.
always Googling. That's why she's not responding.
Yeah, I can't.
You
I don't
can
have
Google
time
your
to
friends
text
once
you
they
back.
get famous, but
I'm busy. She's
I-
Googling, how is Betty
Is-
White really dead?
Betty White autopsy. How did she die? Really? Conspiracy theories.
I'm like constantly
Plus
sending you
lizard people.
TikToks and you just don't see them ever. I'm like, oh,
But every once in a while, you get a text
You
from me,
Google it.
me going like, haha, that all those TikToks were real funny. So I make you make sure you
Oh,
feel good
yeah.
about
yeah.
it.
I'd be like, which one?
That third one from the bottom with the girl.
That's a tough one, I
Hilarious.
think. I'm still
mean,
a little torn on it.
I think my initial decision was to go without Google. Mm-hmm. But then I'm also thinking, like, I feel like social media for me, oftentimes, I mean, with the exception, of course, some applications,
Mm-hmm.
most social media is like, I don't even care. Like, I'm just mindlessly swiping on it, you know?
True.
So I'm like, if I probably should give up social media, but I don't know.
I feel like the hard ones for me, like I said, like Twitter and like Reddit, like I feel like I learn a lot from Reddit, like even stuff I'm not trying to like
What
search
about
for.
YouTube? You wouldn't be able to do YouTube anymore.
Oh,
All the video
Done,
tutorials.
done.
Well,
I
there's
keep-
the thing.
I'll
like,
keep the
I
apps.
don't think of YouTube as social media.
right.
Oh, I do.
Isn't that kind of its own search engine?
Yeah.
Because it's an app.
Well, I think of it as because it was a website before it was an app.
Right,
So
true.
I think of it as like its own website, like YouTube, its own like.
So I get to
its
keep it no
video
matter what.
content. Yeah. At least
That
in
makes
my
it easy.
eyes.
That makes it easy.
I
Thanks,
think
Danny.
it's like the loophole thing. It's hard because a lot of these apps you can access on the internet.
Yeah.
But you have to I think the best way to look at it is if it has an app, you can't access it.
So YouTube.
I think that's kind of the
yeah,
official.
I guess
rule
I'll
on
go.
it, right?
I'll go with the apps then.
This goes back
Yeah.
to would you have a long recovery or death? I think in the same exact question, I would just choose death.
Oh.
Which is Google.
Google
No,
getting
just in
death,
general. No,
or-
that's the
No,
third
no,
option.
actually-
That
death.
seems a little unhealthy.
This is too much.
In a
too much.
choice
You
of
know what can have
Google or
both?
social
Heaven.
media.
Heaven will have both.
God.
Wow.
I'd rather die than choose.
Jeez.
Maybe
So
that's
rough.
dramatic. Okay, that's dramatic.
All right. Well, I admit it. It's a little dramatic.
Let me text my therapist.
Like I said, I would choose social media keep, and lose Google. But I think I would be better off by switching that.
By keeping Google and
Yeah. I
Throwing
think
off
I
your
could.
social
Imagine
media.
all the fun facts you would learn.
I feel kind of obligated to be on social media sometimes, which I know sounds strange, but I have frequently have days where I'm like, I could just leave all my social media profiles, and I think I'd be so much.
I think
better
it's
off.
not an obligation. I think it's an addiction, my guy.
Well, probably.
I think
Sure.
I think we all have it. Truly.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah,
I don't think
Remember
anyone's
we talked
like
about doing a cleanse at one point.
yeah.
I
we
plan
did.
on
Bring it up.
deleting.
Oh wait, that's right.
I
Cara
plan
took
on
a
deleting
hard no on that one.
the TikTok app for the next like 3 weeks until I
Well-
finish college
Really?
because that is my
Could you
kryptonite.
pre-make like 20 TikToks that we could post?
That would be great if we could just space them out
Yeah.
Yeah, put them in those drafts.
over the next 3 weeks.
What we found out though is your
Anticipate the
drafts.
trends.
They delete.
make them.
Or they're
They
only
don't-
saved on your phone.
Yeah, the
Continue
drafts
making them,
are
but then just delete
individuals.
the app after you've made them. You know, like
Yeah, if you delete
Download
the app,
it,
you
make an app,
lose all of
delete
your,
the app.
You lose all of your stuff.
that's not true.
I'll be
Yes, it
real.
is.
My
Don't
drafts
tell-
aren't that good.
Don't. Oh, that's
Your
not
drafts
true.
or
Yeah,
your
your drafts.
No, because they saved to your account.
It doesn't really
No.
matter.
No, because your drafts and my drafts are different.
I
If
know,
you pull
but
up
when I
the-
sign into the What's Podcast account,
You don't see her drafts.
Yes, I do.
No, you don't.
She
Not
does.
Annie's drafts, but the What the Podcast drafts, I do.
No.
Oh, the one she's created
Wanna
on
bet?
there. All right.
Yeah.
It doesn't really matter.
Yes.
I'm going to be honest.
It matters.
We'll settle that later.
We'll settle that later.
In a fist fight.
Like
to the
you
death.
saying a social media addiction, which I think was kind of interesting.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, I
I mean,
view it
you
as
know,
an
keep your
obligation.
phone right by your bed.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
what,
but you
what
use
makes
that
you
as an
feel
alarm.
what makes you feel obligated?
Well, I just feel like as as somebody who has a podcast and is creating content, I feel like
As a content creator.
well, I guess. I mean, that feels weird to say that, but I mean, yeah, I think at some point I'm like, well, I should probably be posting. I used to post on Instagram like every day. Like in 2014 when I was in high school, I no joke would post like once every other day.
Well, that's
at
'cause it was, like,
least
new.
at least I was posting all the time. Now my last post was probably Jordan's birthday. Literally, I don't even know. It was so long ago.
You
my
posted
my
for,
posts are few and far
for
between.
another birthday.
I post on my story quite a bit.
And that's yeah. So I
The
feel kind of
24-hour
obligated because
turnaround.
I'm like I need to.
have a presence on the
Well,
internet.
yeah, and I need to take responsibility and let post about my podcast. I primarily post about the podcast. I don't know that
I know.
post a
I
whole
think
lot.
I've ruined my Facebook follow. Like
They're like,
not
we
that I
don't
care at all about
Yeah.
my Facebook friends. Like
And no, they
who
should care.
knows? But hey, now the only thing they see from me is check out the podcast. Hey, we're going live on the podcast.
Let's get through my wedding because I don't want to be on a social media fast during that necessarily.
No,
But let's
right.
get through the major things and then let's do a cleanse.
and that's the good fun parts of it is like see your friends post,
Yeah.
whatever.
But what's hard about a
And
social
then
media
quit.
fast
Go
for
ahead.
us is then, like, what do we do to post? Like, we need to post stuff for the podcast. And
Well- share it to the
promote
account.
your own business or anything. You still
You
need
could-
to use
so-
that social media.
You could always schedule them.
Yeah.
Like
What's the app?
I have Canva that schedule. You can create content and schedule it.
I
Ultimately,
think
it's
there's
going
one
to come
called
down.
Anchor or something.
It's going to really come down to like personal accountability. There's like no
Right.
way to like. We're not going to be able to regulate it or
Do you have
make it
time limits?
impossible.
Do you have time limits
Yeah.
on your?
Oh,
I have screen
Apps?
reports, or screen time reports, but I don't have limits on them.
I have
that could be
time
kind of
limits.
cool.
I have time limits on my things.
But it doesn't, like, lock you out. It just says...
No,
you can
well,
set a passcode.
You can
though.
set a
Just go back on.
passcode
You can set a
that someone
passcode,
else
though.
sets for you.
So I think we all set a passcode for somebody else.
I'll guess it.
Give us like an out.
I love that. Whoever
Just
gets
guess
Ryan
it.
the most obscure.
He's like over here, like
I'm like
I cracked
running
it.
every
if you
number combination.
guess it like locks like
Yeah.
it will like
Forever.
make it be like forever your whole phone
Forever.
freezes.
Your
It-
phone
it
actually
actually
dies.
explodes.
And you die.
It explodes.
I think what could be kind of interesting is if we not a full cleanse, but like gave each other just 30 minutes or an hour every day.
that I feel I could get into because you're not like
yeah,
You know,
I feel
'cause
like I
I-
could do that because I'm like it today. I haven't been on
Pull
any
it up.
social media
Let's see
site
it.
today.
Let's see the screen
Pull up
time.
screen
All
time.
My screen time's
My
absolutely
screen time is
atrocious
out
today.
of
Has your
control.
phone always been white?
Yeah.
Wow.
What's behind that?
Oh, it looks dirty when it's in that case.
Okay. All right. Well,
It's glitter.
let's see. Come on.
Okay.
Pull it up.
Everyone pull up your screen times.
Mine's gonna be
Mine's
atrocious.
sad.
I'm
I
just
keep my
admitting that.
screen time on
Dude,
my
which one is
main.
that?
Number one, how do you find it?
It's in the settings. Screen time.
I keep mine
gonna
on my
type it
main
in
thing, so
screen
I feel
time.
Is
accountable.
it just
Oh, there it is.
home screen?
No, screen time.
Oh, screen time. Okay.
I feel
my daily
absolutely
average.
horrible.
See all activity.
All right. Let's see it. It's probably.
Are we
rough.
do today first, and then you'll do your average?
Jeez,
so
this is
bad.
so rough.
Nah, I'm not laughing.
not
How much
laughing.
you
I'm
got?
at
Come on,
school.
tell us off.
My daily
Go.
my daily average is 3 hours and 25 minutes.
For what? Just looking at your screen?
Just daily screen time.
Right.
What?
When we were on our walk today,
Uh-huh.
my phone was in my fanny pack on for an hour, and I took it
Oh.
off, and it was overheating. So that's part of my screen time today. Was it was in my
okay.
fanny pack on
Okay.
Instagram?
Okay,
Most
well that's
used
not qualify
On
'cause that's-
TikTok, my daily average is 1 hour and 23 minutes. That's not.
I
so
will
bad.
admit that I
On
got a new
TikTok?
phone and somehow my screen time got turned off, so I don't have any data.
Oh.
Whoa.
Not purposely. I will keep it on from here on
Got a
out.
new phone,
I
eh?
just never.
So,
Let's hear it, Annie.
fun fact about me, right?
Yeah.
Is I
Oh gosh, here we go. Qualify it.
thank
Qualify
you.
the hell out of it. Come
I
on.
sleep listening to podcasts.
Okay, then you can take the
Do you
podcast
set
app
a
out.
timer?
You
Does
can't.
that count as screen time?
Do you set
No,
a
just
timer?
tell us
It
what
counts
the top.
as social media.
What's the top thing then?
The top thing for my daily average
Yes.
because it
Okay.
counts that because
Okay,
it's
then
on.
what's the next thing?
What do you mean? What's the next thing?
What's outside of Apple Podcasts? What's the next thing on there?
No, it just has all. It counted as social.
No, go down here. Most used.
Oh, most
most
used.
It's
used.
really
Most
upsetting.
Most
to
used
be-
is maps.
Okay.
Wow.
She's a driver. Last week,
She's a driver.
last week.
No case on the phone. Sweet.
But my screen time on average, guys, this is really sad.
Let's hear it.
8 hours.
Oh,
Because I
see?
sleep with it. It's
Oh,
on when I
wow.
sleep.
Annie, you can set a timer for your
You know what?
sleeping stuff.
Eddie,
I don't.
I don't
I
believe
didn't
it
know
for a
that.
second.
And my
Yeah, it's a little
Spotify
sketch.
raps
Eddie,
were
I
like
do not
little
believe
sketch.
that for a
like
second.
It says
You're trying
Okay,
to chalk
tell
it
me
up
the-
to your sleep
Some of the
time.
apps. Look down here where it has the breakdown.
yeah.
What is TikTok for you?
TikTok's sad. This week it's been sad. Because I'll fall asleep on TikTok also.
Okay, qualify it. Go ahead.
Okay, so but the thing is,
Are we
I have a
doing today
screen
or this
time
week?
This week.
This week on TikTok, I
Annie, just say it.
I spent 5 hours on TikTok.
Okay, see,
That's not bad.
I was on it for this week. I've been on it for 4 hours
Ryan.
But I also
Kara, how long
mine
have you
has a
been on
time
it?
limit.
on TikTok
Okay.
this week.
First, I want to start with my day.
No,
Okay,
okay.
no. Just read the stats.
Give us the
Fine.
stats.
We want the cold
the
hard
stats-
stats.
Because you're giving us qualifiers. To everybody's got qualifiers.
Today was an hour and 11 minutes
On what?
on anything.
Okay.
On my phone.
Okay.
Be more like Cara, people.
For this week, my daily average is 3 hours and 40 minutes.
Okay. That's more than mine. What's your time on
What's your
TikTok?
TikTok time.
Oh, Instagram's more than my TikTok.
Oh,
what's
really?
on it? What's TikTok though?
2 hours,
What's Instagram?
Really?
3 hours.
Oh, see, okay,
wow.
today
You're really rough.
my
My
I'm
time on
Safari
Instagram has only
for
been
48 minutes,
why?
like in a week. I
were you
search
doing
a
on
lot of
Safari?
things on Safari.
so
It's good to know.
today I had TikTok for an hour and 47 minutes and Instagram for 41 minutes. I was like, next.
Yeah, I had Instagram for 30 minutes this week only. This entire week I've only been on it for 30 minutes.
You
But
know- I
TikTok
I don't want to show
is
you,
You know
guys
what I've
that,
obsessed-
but
Spotify,
1 minute
hour and a
daily
half.
average.
Oh, yeah, 1 minute.
So
Wait,
Uh-huh.
is that just for this week?
Always in the-
You can go back to last week.
I
Oh,
was
but
turned off.
Your brand
Turned
new
it
phone.
off.
Yeah, it's turned off, so I don't.
That's pretty
Today,
convenient.
I was on Instagram for 20 minutes, Spotify for 9, Messages for 8, Safari for 4, Settings for 3. That's probably counting right now.
It's true.
mail, Facebook.
Well,
You know
all
what's
that
funny?
to say, check your screen time if you're listening, because
This is-
you'd be shocked.
All
by
that to
your
say, I
personal
think my
use.
screen time beats everyone's.
On average,
my gosh.
right after social media, what my major
Wait,
category is.
you felt vindication from that? You spent
I
three.
did.
You spent 3 hours on Instagram this
You,
week.
all of you, spent more time on TikTok.
No,
than
okay, but break
my
it down in
Instagram
actual
and
time.
TikTok
No,
combined.
that's not true.
Yes.
You spent 2 hours on TikTok, and you
and
spent 3
3
hours on Instagram. That's 5
hours total.
I've
Okay.
spent 4 hours on TikTok and 30 minutes on Instagram.
So
that's 4.5.
Booyah. Come on,
Shibuya.
right here.
Thank you.
Well, I beat Annie.
Just a quick math.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. You beat me hard.
Well, that's Annie also makes content for the podcast.
I do.
It's kind of work, you know.
Yeah,
Shibuya.
actually, I was working the whole time. But you know what? It wasn't work that I realized I spend way like it goes. You know how it's like it has your 3 categories, your main
Yes.
categories.
Yeah.
Mine is social media, travel, and other. Last week. I spent 7 hours and 45 minutes looking at different vacation spots and travel destinations.
No way.
This week, today, I spent an hour and 49 minutes looking at flights.
She's
Oh my
trying to get
gosh.
out. She's trying
What
to get
is-
out.
What's
Mine
going
is-
on?
mine
I
is
just
Annie?
look
social.
at deals. I just try to see good deals.
Southwest.
Deals are
Mine goes
unbeatable.
social
I gotta show
and
off
then
the gold
entertainment.
every once in a
So
while.
entertainment
Really
is
nice.
YouTube.
I like it.
Oh, okay.
And then shopping and
Lit.
food.
See,
phone,
that's
eh?
crazy.
Well, it's I got a screen. It doesn't matter. We just got turned off from the last time I got a new phone. I got a new phone like a month ago.
Got it.
I just never turned it back on. Anyways,
Interesting.
check out screen time if you have an iPhone. 'cause
Yeah, do
it
a
will
little
literally
self-reflection.
Blow your mind. You know who
Yeah.
ironically,
My
he'll never
daily
listen to
average
this,
isn't bad.
has been giving me a hard time about my phone lately. My brother David, he's like, he found out about the screen time thing. He's never known it existed, and now he's like, how
All
much
about
time
it.
have you spent on social media this week? And I'm like, I don't know, probably a lot. Like I work at a desk, like
Sure.
it's open all the time, you know.
Just
And he's
chilling.
like, well, I got mine down to 2.5 hours. I'm like, that's great. You're a police officer.
Imagine
maybe-
this.
You're driving.
You were on your phone for 2 hours a day, police officer.
So I just
listen.
he didn't even know it existed, and then all of a sudden he's like,
He's the cop.
now he's the police
Yeah.
of screen time.
That's right.
Because
Whoa,
what
never off
I'll
duty.
do is I will play like a
Dang.
podcast or a TV show or a movie,
Sure.
and I'll leave it somewhere and I'll do other things, and it'll just be playing the noise. You can see how many times you picked up your phone, like physically
Yeah.
picked it
Yeah,
up.
Wait,
I'm actually
where's
kind of grossed
that?
out by
Below.
that.
Yeah.
I'm kind of grossed out by that. I'm
It's
really,
below.
Where?
Last week I picked up an average a day of
pickups.
106
I'll
times
get back to it. Oh,
that I picked up my phone.
My daily average
we
is 82.
need this challenge more than anything, guys. And it's coming up soon in the
Seasonal
next couple
activity.
of months.
And then it tells you what you
Pickups?
first looked at right after you picked
Wait,
up.
what? How many daily average?
What's
pickups?
yours?
106.
Oh,
Mine's messages.
So, mine, it's Instagram, and then my next one is messages. So
Mine's
if I don't
flipped.
text you back, I'm sorry. I am looking at them. I'm sorry.
I'll be honest.
What's
I'm
your
looking
daily
at it.
average
Mine's
pickups?
flipped. 82.
Mine's 89.
She's right in the middle of the
That's
pack.
the ADD kicking in.
106?
Let's see what it was last
Carol,
week.
are
Annie,
you
what is
competitive
wrong
or
with
something?
you?
I
I
am
feel like you're
competitive.
always
I'm competitive
trying to
because
figure
all
out
of
if you're
you
winning.
people think I'm always on social media, and I'm not.
Well,
It tells you how many
can we talk about why?
notifications you had last
Can we
week.
talk about why we think you're obsessed with social media, Cara? Because last time we talked about doing the social media fast, you literally said, I
No.
will not do it. I will cheat.
Yeah.
And that's what kiboshed the whole idea.
It's kind of true.
Yeah, but it's good because I'm not on it all the time.
So why
I don't want to get rid of it.
I mean, marginally, like it's.
I mean,
you're
you're
about
kind
the
of-
same as us.
on
No,
the
I'm
same
better.
amount? All right,
This
well,
I would say, okay, this explains why I don't respond to text messages. It tells
Okay.
you your
Oh,
notifications.
jeez. Good
Wow,
Lord.
I'm really diving deep.
Yeah.
You can go all the way at the
I kinda
bottom. It
wish we
says your
needed to bring
daily
this up.
average of notifications.
Mine's 122.
For text messages, my daily average for how many notifications I get of text messages in a day,
You're popular.
133.
You're
Mine's at
popular.
128.
Yeah,
Don't
It's
blame
from
me for not
freaking group
answering. That's too
chats.
many.
you're popular.
Thank you. Yeah, I am. I'm popular.
No, it's
Mine is
true,
like
and it
my
shows.
work group chat
Shows the
goes
stats.
psycho, and then family group chats go psycho.
I just started like looking at Twitter just now.
You're just like, what on it? Like, oh, we're recording.
I kicked off the screen time and then I was like, oh, let's see what's trending.
Literally.
I
What
don't
was
think
trending?
I have Twitter like on here at all.
One of the things
I
that's
healthy.
deleted. I
That's been
deleted
trending
Twitter.
on my TikTok
Go ahead.
Oh, yeah,
has
I have
been-
less than a minute
oh my gosh, all
on
right,
Twitter.
has been the recent passing of these laws making abortion illegal.
I just saw that today.
I think
Oklahoma
it
put it
kicked
into
off
effect.
in Texas is the one that started this specific like
Wave.
recent wave of states, making abortion illegal, and so I was telling you guys beforehand, it's kind of a topic that we maybe should talk about.
Fairly hot button. Yeah, let's dive into it.
I'd like to qualify, if I may, like we always do.
As always.
These are opinions. So if you're listening to this podcast for some sort of like fact or how you should believe on these types of topics, do your own research, form your own opinions. We used to say that all the time. Form your own opinions.
And I mean, and look at where it's coming from too. It's like
check your sources. Yeah. So and we're not one of those.
Your source is
people who just spent 4 hours,
San Diegans,
4 hours on TikTok.
Yeah, who spend hours.
2 of them are men.
Yes, 2 of them are men.
So abortion's
will
really
never
great.
be pregnant.
2 have vaginas.
Yes.
So
That's right.
I mean, when we talk about this and we have these opinions, it's not at all fact, and it is that it is with the most amount of like care and understanding that we can bring forward. And we want to have hard conversations on this podcast. We talk about it all the time. This isn't necessarily a hard conversation necessarily, but give us a little grace if you disagree, because we would do the same for you.
Because we'd love to engage with that
Absolutely
in a respect.
So all these
manner.
some of these states are coming out and like we said are making abortion illegal, which is a big deal for women.
I guess the crazy part for me was like people were saying that you could now sue like a person like on behalf of the hospital.
That was during the Texas one.
The Texas one is very extensive.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that was the one
So
where
crazy.
Where if you even knew about it,
Yes.
not only could they sue the doctor and the mother, but they could also sue anybody that knew about the abortion, which is
You
so
could report
crazy.
somebody. You could like whistleblow somebody that was like maybe going out of state or like going to like a illicit manner of getting like an illegal abortion.
Yeah, and so I think it's incredibly dangerous when we talk about this kind of stuff, in my opinion, because
What's dangerous?
the making things illegal, especially things that have to do with other people's body, I mean, in this case, making abortion illegal is now telling a woman who becomes pregnant that she doesn't have there is no other option other than carrying that baby to term and having that child. I mean, say what you want about it. I mean, that's really what's happening.
That's
at the core.
kind of an interesting point. Like, I'm thinking about like medical practices, other medical practices that are illegal.
Yeah.
And honestly,
What
like,
is there?
Yeah, like right off the
Right?
bat, like I'm thinking about like assisted suicide,
Cosmetic
or like
surgeries, I'm
cosmetic
sure.
surgeries.
Which that's something
kind
that
of-
they've been
Isn't
bringing
a-
into question too.
I thought
Right.
assisted suicide wasn't illegal anymore.
No, it is.
There's
In
no,
some-
or I believe it's Oregon. You
Some
can go, or
states.
Washington or Oregon. You can go and do it.
Wow.
Some states,
By and large,
some states,
federally,
Yeah,
some
federally-
states don't
federally it's
have.
illegal,
So
yeah.
some states have laws that prohibit it, obviously, assisted suicide, but other states don't have anything about assisted suicide.
Right.
So that's what makes it really ambiguous.
Right.
We were just talking about, and I won't go into it, but the case, I don't know where exactly it is, but there was a case of teenagers where it was a girl that encouraged her boyfriend, then like 19 and 18 at the time, to
Plainsville,
commit suicide,
wherever that
and that was a whole case. But in that state, there was no laws at all about it. So that's where, in the court and all the litigation, there was like no bearings for it, But
Yeah.
so there are other medical situations, but very few that have limitations.
Not nearly as many people stark against assisted suicide as there are
Yeah.
About
there's a-
abortion.
Because I don't think a lot of people know about it.
about
Or at
assisted
least
suicide.
think about
that's
that-
that's
that's
what I mean.
a
Like
thing.
I think-
like abortion is like such a hot button thing in the media, and especially in regards to like in the church world, is like it's
Yeah,
such
I think
a big
assisted
thing.
suicide is like the exact opposite of abortion. It's someone in their own accord choosing to pass away the way they want. And that's where like I believe the church view is of like, then there's this child, you know,
Right.
in utero that you're making that choice whether this child comes into the world or not,
Right.
And I think that's kind of where you could look at it. It's like someone dying, like generally, and that's why I feel like there's more heated arguments about abortion over assisted suicide.
And that's kind of where the logic breaks down is like, that's not the conversation we should be having, because
Yeah.
of course, like, you know, the pro-abortion, or sorry, the anti-abortion camp is like, you really want to kill a baby? And it's like, okay, well, that's where the debate comes in. Like,
Like,
is
what's
that
it a baby?
Is it a baby? Is it like a cluster of cells?
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah,
is this,
yeah. That's
and then
the
ultimately,
topic.
like, well, then the morality of, do you want to bring that life into the world based on the circumstances?
Yeah, there's a lot of angles around it, right? I think for me, I'm personally like, when you come down to the basics of the legality of it, that's where I have the problem with it. You know, like I would, I mean, and I'll say for me, I don't know that I fully agree with the, you know, the idea of abortion. It does make my heart hurt a little bit, you know, in the sense that not even only the idea that's, you know, that there is a child, there is a life in that woman, but also there's just plenty of families that can't like biologically have kids.
Sure.
And that's where my mind goes. So when we talk about abortion itself, like, I don't know that I personally agree with it, but the legality side of it, that's where I have the problem with it. I don't know that the government should be able to tell you what you can and can't do biologically, and that's the part where it gets me uncomfortable, is when the government comes in.
It's not
and
even
goes,
about whether or not, like, abortion for you,
No.
John, would never be an option.
Yeah, and
But like, limiting that for somebody else on a large scale, you're against.
yeah, and I think obviously we've talked about this in similar senses too on the show. It's like the things we love. The things we love about the U.S. and we've learned a lot about the U.S. and America, you know, like, and there are a lot of things to go, I don't know, but you know what I'm saying,
sure.
but some of the things we can agree on about America is that you have a lot of freedom in this country to do kind of what you want within reason, and where if you go in anywhere else in the world, you wouldn't have that
Right.
kind of freedom, and so that's where it kind of always didn't make sense to me, is like, we talk about freedom and all that, and that's kind of the best thing. One of the better things about this country is that you can do these things freely, protest, things like that. But then we talk about abortion, and all of a sudden it's like those same people that are like, yeah, America's the land of the free, is like, well, can't do that. And it's
Yeah.
like, well, that doesn't make any sense,
And I
you know?
think-
Right.
The reason, because abortion at a time was federally illegal.
Right.
Yeah.
And then they turned it over to a state's issue, because what was happening is that they kind of realized that whether it's illegal or not, if you are in the market to get an abortion, you're going to get one. And if there is no market for you, you are going to get a dangerous one. So then it was a matter of, well, now we have these women dying in truly like in incidences like in back alleys.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Getting abortions.
Yeah.
Because
Spring
they're like
Exactly.
they're risking jail time, you know, all this stuff.
Yeah.
It's like either way they're risking their lives.
There's a similar debate for this is a big thing, like in the Netherlands and in different European countries. Well, they have these facilities set up where you can people that are using drugs like heroin and like methamphetamine and things,
Swap your needles.
they are going to these facilities to basically cleanly use needles and cleanly like use drugs. And it's kind of like a government run thing or I don't know if it's going to, some of them are government run, some of them are privately run, but there are these facilities and they've basically limited the amount of deaths from overdose to like 0 in these places.
Wow.
And this is obviously anecdotal, but it's kind of to your point of, there will always be, unfortunately, people that want to use heroin, right? And I'm not
Yeah.
equating getting an abortion to using heroin, but I'm just saying, like, in this scenario, it's like there's always going to be
a need.
people needing that,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And so we can either outlaw it and people can overdose in the alley, you know, and
Jeez, yeah, you're right.
drugs can take
Well, then
over
you
this
go back in
country.
history. It's like, take away anything, prohibition. Then you get all the
Right.
secret nightclubs,
Right.
and speakeasies.
Yeah, and then there
Sure.
becomes
Anything, it's gonna be
there's like an
coming
underbelly of that. You ban everything, like like
Now-
what Cara's saying, you ban
now-
anything, now there's gonna be an underbelly for it.
Yeah.
Go ahead, John. It's a slippery slope.
I know.
Because
I don't
it
use
is.
that. I don't use that word.
I know, I'll use it for you. Is because there must be a line, right? But I'm not going to be the one to be like, okay, these people are allowed to get abortions.
Yeah, because
But-
then it becomes like almost eugenics-esque of like
Absolutely.
who are we not allowing to reproduce and who
Yes.
are we forcing to
and
reproduce and, who are
based on whose morals.
Yeah.
Like, we're like, okay, you can't get an abortion if you can raise the child. Like, if you could
you
be
have the
able to, if you have the
means, yeah.
means to. It's like,
But
well,
then the people with means
who
are usually the
decides
ones who will
that?
get it easier.
yes. Well, what if that person was, a victim of sexual assault or
Yeah.
of rape?
Yeah.
And it's like, now that person has to raise a child of their assaulter.
Yeah.
Like,
What I will say in my own view, because I'm a person of really deep faith, and so in my view, it's like I don't believe that God makes mistakes.
agree.
If there's a baby in a womb, like I believe that like that is a child of God. But at the same exact time, like watching my friends go through pregnancies, like now that I've watched my friends, and I've never been someone who is strict on the line of like absolutely not, no way, like no abortion ever, because I know that like. First of all, there are people who do not hold the same religious views as me.
Right.
And I can't hold them to the same standards, and it's just, it's a really slippery slope.
Yeah.
But I've watched my friends go through pregnancy and seen like it completely destroys a body.
changes your life
It like
forever.
Yeah.
you become just like a feeding like ground for
Yep.
this truly, like, I don't want to say parasite, but like it's a baby. It's
Technically
something
speaking,
it's
you're right.
something feeding off of you, and
Yep.
it's like you are basically a generator to this child.
Sure.
And I've like absolutely watched people's bodies get wrecked, having like people who are like willingly carrying their child, so excited, and have like crazy like medical things happen to them.
Yeah.
And I've personally known someone who's died during childbirth. And so it's crazy because it's like whether you're risking your life in a back alley because it's illegal, you're like at the same exact time to carry a child to term is also risking your life as a
Yep.
woman.
Yeah, and
no
then
matter
you think
what.
about like I don't know anyone personally, but those TV shows that it's like, oh, 13 and pregnant.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's like you think about that
Oh.
13-year-old who has just gone into puberty.
Yep.
Accidentally just got pregnant.
Yeah.
They're like how their body can't even go
Right.
through that. Like
Yeah.
that's
And also,
crazy.
like with the whole 16 and pregnant, I've had friends who've struggled for like a decade to
Yeah.
get pregnant.
Right.
And these 16-year-olds are like, it was my first time ever.
Accidentally on prom
And
night. Yeah.
I don't know what happened.
I don't know.
It's like
Yeah.
crazy.
It's a really hard, and I want to agree with you on like that God doesn't make mistakes, but when like somebody is completely taken advantage of, right? Like in the case of a sexual assault or a rape, it's like, okay, well, you know what? That's just what my life was about, and that's God's plan for me, and I just have to go through it and bear it because it's maybe going to bear witness to somebody down the line in my life. Like I struggle with that personally
Yeah.
a lot. Like
Yeah. And in that situation, I don't think by that means that is an act of God. You know,
Right.
like I truly believe, who knew this was going to be a religious podcast? I truly believe that
religious podcast,
this
huh?
world is just as controlled by Satan as it is
Yeah.
by the Lord. And so like I had this pastor said to me once, like, you're like, for those who don't believe, like this is the closest to heaven you'll ever get. Like there's pieces of heaven on earth,
Sure.
like truly, and vice versa. Like for those who are believers, like in hell and heaven, all that, like there are pieces of hell on earth. You know,
Yeah.
it is the middle ground. And so by that means, like, I would totally agree with you. Like, who's to say? And I personally am a survivor of assault. And so like, I couldn't even imagine if I had to have like carried the child of my
Yeah.
assaulter.
Yeah.
And then like, what do you say to that kid later of like, hey, and then you have the, okay, well, like you could the like answer that a lot of
Yeah.
like, anti-abortion people have is like, well, there's foster care and there's like,
Right.
adoption.
which don't get me started on that.
And that
because
whole
it's such
system is broken.
it's broken, and
Yeah.
and you know what? And there's no advocates for it. Like
Yeah.
if the camp that was so anti-abortion was so pro, like
Foster care.
get freaking funding into foster care. Like
Yeah.
where are they once the child is born? Like that, it just
Yeah.
kind of pisses me off at that point. Like I'm not like so heated about the topic in general, but like if we took that effort, right, and put it towards something that was like, okay, this is a thing that's happening. Like, I don't know, where's the camp for that? Where are those people for kids that get stuck in the foster care system and then grow up to be 18 and then like it's like we just forget about them.
That's always been the part in the anti-abortion realm that I always thought was kind of
it just
stupid.
like the logic breaks down. It's like
it's like
if
we're
you
spending
are
all this money.
You're pro-life, like look at all the life that is
and
it's hard because then
falling
it's like
apart.
the
Yeah.
girls who have these kids and then get criticized for putting these kids up for abortion.
Adoption.
Like it's like, okay, you pressured me to have this kid, but then I have it and I can't keep it, and now you're
judging me
for
giving it up.
Like,
and more often than not,
my kid
like
away.
not more often than not, but sometimes like those moms are going through the foster care system themselves, and they were a child that was born out of it,
You ever seen
an unfortunate situation.
You ever seen 16 and Pregnant?
heard of it.
Yes.
The first season, I was an avid watcher of 16 and Pregnant as a child because I was probably like 12 when it came out on TV. Yeah. And there was one couple, and they're still together today. They have other children. They like got married later in life.
Wow.
But they gave the daughter that she was pregnant with up for adoption, and it completely like the rest of the show, because now it's like, where are they now? All this stuff. It's like it literally showed her having to go to like intense therapy over the trauma of giving up that child. Yeah. And it's like, and it's just so hard because like now they have these kids that have like that child who they still have a connection with. They like are friends with the adoptive parents, like see her on birthdays, but she has like full biological siblings. And this mom has like this intense guilt of having this child having been given up, even though at the time, like they show how crappy their home lives were, how like his dad was like on drugs, and her parents couldn't support them. And at the end of the day, they were 16. And like in that moment,
and
like
they have this emotional attachment to a child, and now it's like the child's just gone. That's
so
they did
hard,
the like
'cause then
quote
it's
unquote
like,
responsible
you
thing.
think,
and
you
then
think
it
it's the
wrecked her.
right time to do that, but then who knew that your life was going to be what it was? That you were going to stay with this person, have more kids.
Yeah, like they didn't
That's
know. They didn't really
rough.
know they were gonna make it work. Like
right.
Yeah.
It's that picture from SpongeBob, and the whole town is burning around them, and it's like, we did it, Patrick, we saved the city.
right.
Yeah, I think what you said about the money too is like that's always been kind of the part that didn't make sense to me about the anti-abortion thing. It's like, because that these legislation stuff, it doesn't cost zero money. Like there are organizations, there are foundations that are raising money to like try and make this illegal, and it's like, where do you think that money is better spent?
If all your efforts
Like
into
trying
lobbying,
to make this illegal, and like your money's literally going nowhere, or you could give all of this money to a Planned Parenthood or like one of those organizations that makes it safe and healthy,
right?
Well, and then like
and available
on money too. To give birth in a hospital, which if you give birth, you call 911.
Look up the numbers.
Yeah, on average in California, hospitals charge $26,380 to give birth.
Yeah. And even with insurance,
Which is a whole other problem.
To $2,500, even with the medical insurance.
The bill can depending on your complications, the bill can raise up to 6 figures.
Dude, I watched a great YouTube video, and it's an older video. I just stumbled upon it. There's this creator on YouTube called William Osman. Have you ever seen this guy?
No.
He's like a big, like, he just makes crazy, like, he's an engineer and like builds crazy stuff in his garage, basically. He got hurt. He had appendicitis and went they ended up catching it early, but he had to get all these x-rays done, and they slapped him with a $60,000 bill.
Yep.
Right at the end of this whole thing.
Yep.
Anyways, insurance ended up helping him pay for it and whatever, but he's like, all I got was x-rays. Dude built an x-ray machine in his garage.
way.
He got like all the high voltage parts. He salvaged an old
There's no way that can be safe.
dentistry. What was it called? Like a
Yeah,
dentist
the
x-ray
dentist,
machine.
yes.
He like salvaged one of those and basically ripped it all apart
Whoa.
and built this freaking x-ray machine in his garage. And he's like, he's like, yeah, am I shooting x-rays into the air? Yes. Is that, radiation in my garage? Yes.
Yeah.
You know
he's
that
like, but check it out. He's like, you get more radiation from going on an airplane than you do from my machine
Do you know
here.
that the bill that when I went to the hospital when COVID wasn't a thing yet, and
Go ahead.
I had all the symptoms, whatever.
They checked you
They
for COVID.
did every single test on me. I had to go from one sharp
thing.
to another sharp because they didn't have the machine at one sharp.
Classic.
I just had to be transferred.
Hate 'em.
Go to a bigger machine. My bill was like $50,000.
Yeah.
Yep.
But you know how much I paid for it?
Right.
With insurance?
That's a whole racket too.
$150.
That's
I mean-
well, and then I just
Crazy?
looked up the average cost in California because I want to compare it statewide.
Yeah.
Good call.
For abortion, to get an abortion in California right now, without insurance, it will cost you up to $2,000.
Wow.
But
Wow.
to birth a child, on average,
$26,000.
$26,000.
Wow.
Which is funny because all the numbers are made up because
They're
what-
just choosing what they
yeah,
want
they're
to
like,
charge you.
oh, birth.
Skin to
$20,000.
skin.
20 grand.
Have you ever seen them
Minimum.
like break down like like once you are leaving the hospital the bill? It's like
Crazy.
skin
Oh.
to hold your baby after its birth
Yes.
before we clean it. $200.
No
Yep.
way.
Yeah, skin to skin is an option that you have to pay for.
Got to be joking.
And the
man.
cleaning and
It's
how
like
long
the
you stay in
HBO
the
Max,
room.
Yeah.
and then it's like, oh, really? You don't want to hold
That's
your baby
why.
right
That's
when
why
it's
a
born?
lot of times
If it's
now
going to cost me
Yeah.
$300,
Now the
I think
hospital,
I'll wait.
like-
I'll see them when they're clean.
the hospital will legit send you home. Because imagine, like, you labor for. It can be up days. It can be up to like I think my cousin labored for 36 hours.
Dude, they're really trying to charge us for like something that people have been doing for thousands, tens, hundreds of thousands of years, really?
Yep.
While I sit
And they
in your
actually
bed.
like legit slow it down. Like an epidural,
come on, man.
literally
Yes.
like pauses.
Well, that's why
Birth.
good hospitals, when you think that you're going into labor and you go in and they're
The good
like,
ones.
not
you have more time, go home.
Yeah, they'll send you home. They're
big
like,
box doctors that
but
we may or
then
may not
private
work for.
hospitals are like,
box
hey,
doctor.
come stay for a little bit.
Oh,
yeah,
yeah,
no,
like,
you're
oh,
in
yeah,
labor.
Not the
for
big
you.
box
No, you're in labor.
hospital.
Yeah,
Right.
you're a half
Hey.
a centimeter. You should lay
I'm
down.
just gonna say
Yeah.
some doctor. I'm just gonna say like sharp. Like
Yeah. Yeah.
For
Whatever.
no
You know,
particular reason.
Dr. Bobbity Bob Boop Bop.
I know.
Wow.
I just think back on the topic of abortion,
circling back
which
to
we were talking
we're
about
circling the drain on it here. What's your thought? Oklahoma just outlawed it completely. What do you think about that?
Here,
People are
listen.
gonna
I'll
drive
go.
away.
I'll go a little deeper with it on my personal views. I mean, I'm a Christian, and I think I've said that probably on this podcast before. And like I said earlier, I don't know. I really would hope that nobody that I know and love would have to make such a difficult decision.
Yeah.
Ultimately, is it the government's choice? No, it is not. I mean,
Yep.
that's the reality. It's
Yep.
just not. And I think if Christian, if like if you do call yourself a Christian, or maybe you work for a Christian organization that is working towards making abortion illegal, I should say, like maybe rethink your intention, because like, is your intention about saving the child, or are you maybe focused on the wrong thing? Like,
There's-
is your support better? Are you better supporting women whether they choose to or not?
Yep.
Or are you better supporting a cause to tell a woman that she doesn't have to have
Yeah.
the ability to choose?
I listened to this sermon once and it was so good, and the idea was called the backdoor Christian. And they're talking about like Planned Parenthoods, right? And you have these Christians out, quote unquote
Yes.
Christians out front, like screaming at these young women going in
Rallies.
there. I have been inside a Planned Parenthood, and it is like the saddest, heaviest space you can
Yeah.
walk into. Like girls are not rolling up to Planned Parenthood like for
Like,
fun.
here I go. Oh, got another
yeah,
abortion.
like it is
Stoked.
it's a hard, heavy thing.
Yeah.
And the whole idea was like, if you're truly like a follower of Jesus, and you're there to like help people and to show what love like Jesus has for you, screaming at them about the decision
Yep.
they're about to make is not how you do it. And he was like, I want to be a backdoor Christian. I want to be standing at the back there to hug the person who just had to go through the hardest thing in their
Yeah.
life, made this
Yeah.
horrible decision.
Yep.
And I want to sit with them and process it
Yeah.
and explain like, hey, you know what? I love you. God loves you. And like, let's work through this.
You don't need to support what someone is choosing to do. Just be a good human.
Like, are you
human.
trying to save this potential lost life of a baby, or are you trying to punish a mom that you think is living immorally, is like
Yeah.
sleeping around, or is like doing whatever? Are you just trying to like take out your moral aggressions on this poor girl that maybe has gone through trauma?
And then like ultimately like that baby too. Yeah. Like now you're taking it out on both of them.
Absolutely.
yeah.
I just think there's so many better ways to handle it. Like, we talked all about it already, and good solutions. I just can't imagine that telling somebody that they can or can't do something has ever benefited anyone.
That's kind of the bottom line, right? Like
Yeah.
take out Christianity, take out morality, take out like the government. That's an overstep of government power.
And
like
it's just so ironic too, because we just came out of a pandemic. We're like the same people that would tell you that abortion should be illegal.
talking about the conservative camp.
The conservative camp, like literally a year ago, was saying you can't tell me to wear a mask.
What I should do with
like
my body.
my body, my choice.
Yeah.
Like they were literally using that.
Yeah.
And you're like, I agree with you, but at the same time,
If
I'm
you're
like,
gonna say that, you
like,
need to apply
don't you
it to
agree with you?
all.
You know?
my body,
At
my
least be
choice.
consistent, right?
and that's and again, I get it. We're human, and we
Yeah.
live in a world that's
Yeah.
imperfect, and there's no way that we're going to get it right every time.
Yeah.
And that's the important thing to remember out of all of this. But at the same time, like if you're in that camp, if you're in that anti-abortion camp, I would cause for reflection.
But
about what
and
the
it's
point
so
is.
it's so easy to like get there, right? Is like because both of you started with like I'm a Christian, but this is what I believe, and it's like because we put ourselves in these like us and them things,
Yeah.
right?
True.
It's like Christian is not synonymous with anti-abortion, but we like it just is because like we've built these
We've created that.
these structures of like the liberal left is like we want to kill babies and the conservative right is like we want screw them, like they got to have those babies no matter what, like it's like that's and
They gotta have
never
those babies.
I gotta have
yeah,
those
right,
babies.
like that's never probably the case if you boil it down. It's
true.
Yeah.
People standing on the corner with a sign probably really truly if they were met with that person would be like I want to help you in whatever way
Yes.
you need help.
Yeah.
But that's just the nature of tribalism, man. Is we want to be like the right side of a situation.
And I think also, it's important to be mindful of your community.
Yep.
Like these things get passed in states, and I'm sure there is a healthy amount of people in that state that didn't even know what was going on.
Yeah.
And like,
Yeah.
that's the other important piece. Is like, if you're not super vocal about it, that's fine. Like you don't have to
Yeah.
talk about it on a podcast like we're doing today, but at the same time, like you got to make sure that when your ballot comes in the mail, that you're reading that because you could be making a decision for so many people in your area and not even know.
Do you think it was Oklahoma spurred on because of the Texas vote? Like why? I'm like, why now? Like it feels kind of random. I haven't heard about it in
Texas
the news.
was
like
random. Texas came out of nowhere, I feel like. I mean, they were
Totally.
talking about it for a long time, but I think the conversation kind of started
probably-
out of like, what?
I mean,
They
that's
probably
how
had like a
government
state
works,
case
right?
that kind of sparked it. I don't
Right.
know, but that's usually what happens is like within the state's legal system,
Yeah.
there's like a case rising to the like, because every state has a Supreme Court.
Yeah.
And like it's probably rising up to that, and like once it gets to that, usually like state legislature
we
will
should
make
put
a
in this law.
yeah, we'll make a point of it
Yeah.
for the
Yeah.
next ballot.
Quick reminder: don't drag us. Like, if you're really mad right now, like let's just hash it out. Let's just talk about it.
Yeah.
Because, like I said, like people hear these buzzwords, right, and get all heated, and
Yeah.
are like, "I thought you guys were all Christians," and it's like. We literally said we are, and we said we're not the
are.
experts, and these are our opinions.
I was just going to say that. You read my mind because I was like, you know what?
One final disclaimer.
And it's not even a disclaimer.
It's with love. All of this is with love.
Exactly.
It
That's
needs-
exactly it.
If it's not, then it's like we're throwing rocks at something that we don't know about.
I was just going to say that exactly. Like,
Yeah.
if before you get upset about it, know that this topic is uncomfortable for me. Like I'll be honest. I don't
think it's
like
uncomfortable
having the
for
conversation.
everyone.
Yeah,
At the same time, if
especially
we
Cara and I.
don't have the
Oh, yeah.
conversation, we can't like have progress. We can't have growth. Like,
Yeah.
and that's why it was important for us to talk about it today on air and be kind of like, okay, this is the start. Like maybe you're listening to this and you disagree, or maybe you
Yeah.
do agree, and maybe that a friend that disagrees, and you're like, if they can talk about it, maybe I can talk about it
Yeah.
with this person.
Yeah.
I've had plenty of awkward conversations, and I've told you
Well,
guys about them. But
And then it's like the same point. Like I've personally known people who have had
Yeah.
abortions, and
Yeah.
like that doesn't make me love them any less.
I
Or
was
like,
gonna say if you end up talking to a close friend who has differing views than you do, that should not ruin your friendship
Right.
or ruin your
It should
relationship
spark
with someone.
conversation.
And like
Yeah.
a lot of like some of those people are like God-fearing people who like are, you know, like avid in their church and everything. And some of those people don't believe in that. And it's like,
All walks of
okay,
life.
that's great. Like I still have been called to love them either way.
Because it affects all kinds of
It
people.
affects
all these
everyone,
problems.
yeah.
So.
Yeah.
But yeah, man.
Lead with love is what I'll say. And any of these hard conversations, just come in with a
gotta
mindset.
do it.
Because we can't not have these conversations, but at the same time, like they're hard and they're difficult. And if we can just come in with an ounce of like, I don't know the right answer.
Dude, but love will get you through it. When you got to just steer into the hurricane at some point. Like, just do it. Talk about it. Have that uncomfortable moment with the person that you know is gonna get you,
Yeah.
and then just hug it out. I don't
And
know.
at some point too, like I think another issue of this is like, hey man, let's make birth control like free or available.
Whoa!
Or like let's do
big major.
like come on, like
Yeah.
why is
John
this
just
so
ran off screen.
Which that's
John
a
literally
big.
is
That's
leaving.
a
He's
very
like,
big
that's
thing
where I draw the
now.
line.
He's like, I'm
seeing-
done.
I'm seeing the
done.
notification
I'm
come
done.
up. It says low battery on the computer. John is
That's
remedying
a big
the
thing
problem.
now is that there's so many places that birth control is free.
Well, that's like the front end of the thing. My whole thing was like, well, support foster care system
Yeah.
better. That's the front end, is like make birth control wildly like free and available to everyone that is sexually active.
Yeah.
And it's like, I'm sure that's, but then it's the same thing of like, well, like the morality of that in this country. Like, should we
And
be
you know
pushing
what?
that on teens? It's like,
Okay,
they're
but they
already-
hand out condoms during middle school and
they
high
should
school.
be
But that
like throwing them into every home. like
throwing condoms.
No, I mean, but also a part. I mean, you can have a condom, but like the
Being
number
so
one reason of
pregnant.
teen pregnancy is because kids are having sex in cars, and like there's not a
Like-
safe space for that to happen, and so that's where mistakes are made.
Yep.
It's like they're always teens are hiding it. I mean,
Right.
they
yeah.
are.
Well, and I think maybe that's like it. Like
that's
let's be
that
real. Like,
part
why is there such a
of
freaking taboo
it.
around sex in general? Like
that is a
You
whole
like-
other conversation.
God, and
I
that's
agree.
next
How much time
week.
we got?
Next week.
We
And
could
that's
jump into
next
that,
week.
but,
We
but
can't.
Andy's got a heart
We
out.
can't.
And he's gonna hide out at
So
7:30.
I mean, just develop male birth control, and we're good to go.
They're doing
right?
it. Hey,
They're doing it right
in the
now.
moment they come out, I'm buying you guys that.
Thank you.
Wow.
I was actually going to ask when it comes out. Will you buy it for me?
Yeah, because I don't
Thank
want your
you.
mom to have to see that on your bill. So don't worry, I'll buy it for
right.
you.
yeah, I don't want your
Yes.
mom to
I
have
know
to
your
see
mom.
it
I
on
know
your
you're really
bill.
worried, and that's why you haven't been using
Hey,
protection.
Annie, I don't have medical insurance. We'll see you next week on
What the podcast?